Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning into today's video. We have more PlayStation news, rumours and leaks to go over. Please hit that like button if you enjoy the video, and if you're new here to the channel, please consider subscribing. So we are starting off here with Ballistic Moon, the studio behind the PlayStation 5 remake of Until Dawn, which is reportedly on the verge of shutting down. The remake, which aimed to revamp Supermassive Games' classic horror title with improved visuals and updated gameplay, was met with disappointment upon release. While the game attempted to modernize the beloved PS4 experience, it was plagued with issues that left fans frustrated. Now, reports indicate that the studio is effectively closed. What does that mean, effectively closed? Well, I'll tell you in a second. According to Insider Gaming, Ballistic Moon faced major layoffs towards the end of 2024. They lost around 40 employees in September, leaving behind a really skeleton crew to support the game post-launch. And by December, they lost another 20 people. Another 20 employees were let go. So as of now, they only really have the founders and a small group of supporting staff that remain at the studio. The studio no longer has a functioning public relations, marketing or development department. So effectively, they are just closed. One source even mentioned that although players continue to report bugs and glitches, no one is left to actually work on patches or updates for the game. The leadership reportedly attempted to secure funding and pitch new projects, but they were unsuccessful. Some employees described that the work environment was actually decent, but others mentioned experiencing long periods of unpaid overtime. One former staff member claimed that they were not paid for weeks at a time. It remains uncertain if Ballistic Moon will permanently shut down or attempt to restructure. Meanwhile, fans of Until Dawn have another adaptation to look forward to. Sony Pictures Entertainment released the first trailer for its upcoming film adaptation of the game in January. However, early impressions suggest that the movie only shares the same title with the game, and it doesn't follow the storyline of the actual game. It's directed by David F. Sandberg, and the film is set to premiere exclusively in theaters on April the 25th, 2025. It's always disappointing when a studio is facing a crisis like this, and sad to hear of devs being let go. And it's rife across the industry, especially the gaming industry, as the gaming industry looks to reshape itself. But this game, honestly, this game upon release had major problems. There were tons of issues on launch, and when people who are waiting to see what the reception is like for a game, when they see the reception on launch day and learn about multiple glitches and bugs and issues like this on the launch, it kind of puts people off buying the game. And it kind of, you know that saying of mud sticks, right? And this is what happens with games like this. When there's a problem at launch, it puts people off buying it. And when are publishers and studios going to learn that if they release games that have huge problems on launch, it will put people off buying the game, which will only impact the studio and their game sales further down the line? Bigger publishers and game studios may be able to withstand the pressure of a slow start in sales. However, smaller studios like Ballistic Moon, a poor launch could effectively close them down. And in this case, the poor reception of Until Dawn Remake looks like it could be the final nail in the coffin. Anyway, let's move on. So a listing for the Gears of War collection was recently discovered on the PlayStation Store's backend, adding fuel to the fire about an imminent PS5 release. And while it remains unclear if the trilogy will launch simultaneously on PS5, Xbox and PC, sources suggest a possible release window of mid-2025. Now, ex-user Detective Seeds, who is a known leaker, claims that the collection is scheduled for an early to mid-August 2025 release on the PS5. Game is reportedly optimized for the PS5 Pro. However, one major disappointment for fans is the apparent lack of multiplayer. The PlayStation Store listing currently describes Gears of War collection as a single-player experience with no mention of co-op or multiplayer modes. Previous rumors indicated that the collection, which includes the first 3 Gears of War games, will be announced at an upcoming Xbox showcase event and would launch across all platforms at the same time. However, since the leak originates from a PlayStation Store listing, it does not necessarily confirm whether a day and date release will occur across different systems. Either way, I'd expect the whole slate coming to PlayStation this year, or at least within the next 18 months or so. We already have Forza 5 landing in April of this year. Indiana Jones is coming to PS5 reportedly first half this year, and now rumors of a Gears collection too. And I don't think anyone can honestly be surprised at this point about all the games coming to PlayStation over the course of the next 12 months or so. And I guess it's just a question of whether games will come out day and date across all platforms, or whether the PlayStation version of games coming to Xbox will come out further down the line. Case in point being this next piece of news from a couple of weeks ago. The long-awaited Fable reboot from Playground Games was officially delayed to 2026. And this news is particularly significant for PS5 players, as the game has now been rumored to be part of Microsoft's multi-platform strategy, potentially bringing it to Sony's console at launch. Now the question here is, has it been delayed because Microsoft are ensuring that there is a PlayStation version of the game to release at the same time as Xbox? Or is it a delay because the game needs a delay as it's not ready to release right now? I mean, I'm no expert in game development, but I would have thought that the decision to release the game onto multiple platforms is a kind of decision you would make early on in the game's development. It's not a decision you would make partway through, right? Maybe Microsoft realized last year that the poor Xbox sales and the lack of Xbox gamers actually buying games on the platform means that they're going to have to release the game onto PlayStation as part of its wider strategy. And as a result, the game would need to start development immediately on a PlayStation version of the game. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts. Fable was initially slated for release in 2025. The delay was confirmed by Xbox Game Studios head Craig Duncan. Now, he explained that the team needed additional time to polish the game. But we've heard this before, haven't we? We've heard one thing, one version of an event, and then it completely changes 6 months later. And he goes on to say that we previously announced the date for Fable as 2025, but we're actually going to give Fable more time and it's going to ship in 2026. And Duncan took over as head of Xbox Game Studios in November after leaving Rare. He reassured fans that the game would be worth the wait and praised the development of the team's efforts. Alongside the delay announcement, Microsoft showcased pre-alpha gameplay footage, which while it was visually stunning, the early footage revealed some rough animation and performance issues. Given these technical shortcomings, the delay seems like a reasonable decision. Interestingly, the delay may increase the likelihood of Fable launching on PS5 alongside the Xbox version. An industry insider, Nate Drake, who previously leaked the Nintendo Switch 2 announcement, claimed that the discussion about a PlayStation version began last year. Since the game was originally scheduled to release in 2025 for Xbox, the shift to 2026 could mean that there will be no delay for a PS5 launch and should be part of Microsoft's multi-platform strategy. However, as of now, Fable remains officially announced only for Xbox and PC. Further confirmation from Xbox is needed before assuming PlayStation release is guaranteed. However, given the rest of the games that are coming over to PlayStation, and there is never usually any smoke without fire, I would expect a PlayStation announcement in the near future on Fable. Regardless of the case, all this just solidifies my view that for me there is no point in owning an Xbox, as I can just play PlayStation games and Xbox games on my PlayStation. Thanks, Phil. Anyway, let's move on to some fantastic news for this summer. Following the success of RoboCop Rogue City in 2023, publisher Nacon has officially announced a new expansion titled RoboCop Rogue City Unfinished Business. And it's set to launch in the summer of 2025. The expansion will be a standalone edition, meaning that players can purchase it and play it without owning the original base game. I would highly recommend you get the base game. It's really worth it. According to an official press release, the expansion will feature intense action sequences set in the Omni Tower, now overtaken by elite mercenaries. Players will have access to new weapons, brutal finishing moves, and special missions. One particularly exciting feature is the ability to play as Alex Murphy, RoboCop's human identity, for the first time in a video game. This addition could bring a fresh perspective to the gameplay, offering flashbacks that deepen the story. And while the premise seems simple, clearing out Omni Tower and taking down enemies is likely to focus heavily on gameplay and action rather than a narrative depth, which I don't mind at all, not in this game. Pricing details have not yet been revealed, but given the popularity of the base game, fans of Rogue City will likely to be eager to jump into this new content. And for those who haven't yet played RoboCop Rogue City, it remains one of the best looking games on the PS5. The game has been available for a while now and can be found at discounted prices in multiple places, making it a solid pickup for action game fans. Honestly, if you haven't played this game, give it a blast. If you like shooters and action games, this one looks great, definitely worth picking up. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below about the topics discussed in today's video. Thank you for watching, and if you like the video, give it a thumbs up and I'll catch you on the next video.